Joining us now in an exclusive interview with Carnival Corporation CEO Arnold. Arnold, good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, good afternoon, Sarah, Wilf, both of you. Trust you're well.
So we are, and all the better for seeing you, Arnold. So talk us through some of these numbers. I mean, in particular, I think what's grabbed people's attention is 2021 bookings. You said it's within a range that you would have expected in prior years, presumably to the bottom of that range.
Yeah, what we said is this in a historical range. And so by this point in time in a given year, we have a certain percentage for the next forward quarters. We're within those ranges in each of the quarters. And frankly, it's been strong. There's a lot of pent-up demand for cruising, a lot of pent-up demand for our brands, our world-leading brands. And we're very excited about the prospects of being able to sail in Germany by mid-August in a way that we think is very responsible with the best interests of public health.
What about the pricing?
The pricing, as a matter of fact, we just announced the German sailings. They were obviously not previously scheduled. The initial sailings will be sailings to nowhere. They'll leave out of German ports, go out to sea for a few days, and then come back to the same German port. We had unbelievable bookings in the first 24 hours at much higher prices than our fleet average and historical pricing for that particular brand. So very strong early bookings. We'll have to see how that plays out over time, but we were, really pleased with what we saw.
On the safety front, Arnold, how will you handle a positive case? And will you have tests on board? And what if you get a test back that is positive? How will you handle that if you're in the middle of a cruise?
Sure, Sarah. First of all, obviously all of this is real time. The knowledge and understanding of COVID-19 is real time. It keeps evolving, as you guys well know. So right now, the protocol that's in place, and that could change somewhat in 3 weeks, 4 weeks time when we actually sail. We will have testing capability on board, PCR testing. So there will be machines on board that can test. And if we see an indication of symptoms that are COVID-like, we can test a person. There'll be an area on the ship where they can be comfortably isolated, et cetera. And then they will be, offloaded or disembarked in the port when they return. That's been worked out with the ports and with the German authorities. And so unlike what happened before, where it was all new, nobody quite knew how to handle things, and did you have to quarantine everybody else, and so on and so forth, it's pretty mapped out in this case, and we can comfortably sail knowing that we can manage. Now, the good news, too, in Germany and continental Europe and Italy, Spain to an extent, but especially in Germany, there's just a low incidence of community spread right now.
Sure.
So that's another big advantage, and that's the key. I think when societies are ready to socially gather, we can seriously look at cruising again. And in Germany, they're ready.
Well, they appear ready in the United States, at least to socially gather, even if we shouldn't be, and even if cases are rising, Arnold. So in preparing for that, I mean, there's so many asymptomatic carriers. Why not just test everybody who gets on board?
In Germany, for example, a lot of people have been tested, but they have a low incidence of cases. Here in the U.S., you still have a surge in a number of areas in the U.S. of cases. And so you're talking two very distinct situations over two different time periods. As we know, the virus spread from east to west. And so the U.S. is still going through it. And why not test everyone? For the same reasons everyone isn't being tested today in the United States shoreside. The tests we'll have on board, won't be capable of, in a short period of time, testing thousands of people, but we will have, adequate testing capability to test the incidence that is likely or could possibly occur.
Royal Caribbean and Norwegian announced that they're forming a panel in order to recommend health protocols for cruising. Why aren't you part of that panel?
The Royal and NCL panel is two companies. Every company in the industry is doing things, and we've been engaged with epidemiologists, medical experts, and scientists throughout this period. Obviously, we've been engaged with a number in Europe to prepare the protocols that have been presented to allow us to begin sailing in Germany. And we have a number of scientists around the world, including here in the U.S., we've been working with. In fact, we're going to produce for the World Travel and Tourism Council a science summit on COVID, July 28th. So you can go to a site, I believe it's COVIDScienceSummit.com, where you can register. And we'll have world leading scientists, including a Nobel laureate and others, that'll give the current best thinking and understanding of COVID in general. This is not about travel, it's not about cruise, it's about really understanding COVID-19, how to manage it best with everything we know today in society, dealing with transmission, dealing with therapies, dealing with the basic epidemiology, understanding of the disease, and the practical ramifications in life as we know it today. So that's July 28th. It's COVIDScienceSummit.com, and we encourage, it's open to the public, no charge. We encourage you guys to tune in.